Is Ghosts of Girlfriends Past the worst movie ever made? I've been on the internet a lot. Most of you know that. People that know me personally know I've been a regular internet person since around 1997. It was a much smaller place back then, a much wilder place. And, people have always thrown around things like worst ever. And a lot of people have always thought I'm joking when the question is asked, what is the worst movie of all time? And I say in earnest, Ghost of Girlfriends Past. People think I'm just making a joke. Sort of like how a joke I do make anytime someone asks for when there's, like, say, a meme that's got a screenshot from porno, right? And someone in the comments will ask what movie it's from. I'll always say Da Vinci Code. That's just, I'm going to smile at that every single time because I do smile and laugh at my own jokes. And that one has just never not amused me. But I'm not kidding when I just viscerally hate Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. And I gotta tell you, like, I've seen movies that were worse. Fuck, I've been in movies that were worse. I was a character in an independent zombie movie back in Maryland that literally it's never going to see the light of day. The writer slash director slash producer, he made that clear to us. He suffered some health problems, and he flat out told us, like, there's no way he's ever going to get the movie edited for release. It's just not going to happen. But I saw the trailer, and it's bad. I appreciated the experience and the people I got to know while making it, but the acting was not very good. The writing was certainly not very good, and everyone involved seemed to be sure that they were making something that was a lot bigger, better, and more important than it really was. That happens a lot with independent creators, I'm noticing. The lack of humility. Fortunately, I know that most of what I produce is just total garbage. But, some people, well, I've talked about it before with things like writers groups. Some people are just sure that they're meant to be the voice of a generation. That's not really the point, though. The point is that, I've seen a lot of movies that were worse than Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, but for some reason, none have just filled me with such hatred. Like, I've seen movies that were more poorly made, written, directed, acted, but I didn't dislike them as much. And I can't really explain, definitive reasons why I dislike Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. Matthew McConaughey's good. I like him as an actor. Maybe it's the way he talks or what have you, but when Matthew McConaughey's in something, I'm usually into it. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Failure to Launch, definitely never gonna make my top 10 list, but they were pretty decent. And yet Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, the premise kind of annoyed me. I'll tell you one thing that it made me unreasonably mad was that the potential father-in-law in the movie is supposed to be a Marine, and I've never been the most motivated of Marines. When I was in the Marine Corps, I went through boot camp. I went through Marine combat training, and by the time I got to my actual school where I was meant to learn my job, I had maybe 2 or 3 weeks left of actual motivation where I gave a definite damn about the Marine Corps. Just because, I mean, for those of you that have been in the Marine Corps, it does a really good job of making you just hate everything about it. And at the same time, that trauma bonding that abused people go through, where, you know, you love the people you're around, you love being a Marine, but you recognize that the whole organization just doesn't give a shit about you or your well-being or your mental health or any of that. And I bring that up mainly because, like, they get pretty much every detail of this guy being a Marine wrong. His nickname is Sarge, which is definitely not a Marine thing. Like, you get hazed for calling somebody Sarge. I've seen get yelled at for doing it sarcastically. Like, the whole joke was that you don't do that, and that's why they said it. And then they still got hit pretty hard for it. But more annoyingly, he says "hoo-ah" like all the fucking time in the movie. It's super bad. Like, that's not the phrase. And the thing is, like, literally any service member knows that it's not, because Marines are very, like, loud and obnoxious about Marine shit, and it's oorah, and everyone fucking knows that. And so, like, I can only conclude that either there was just absolutely zero input from anyone who had ever been in the military, or if there was any input, they just didn't pay attention to them. I can believe that last one a bit, mainly because that movie I talked about in Maryland, I was also the military advisor for that movie, meant to make sure everyone was, you know, within standards for pretending to be in the movie. They were in the Army, but, you know, I was familiar with those standards as well, and they mainly just wanted, you know, someone who could pull off military bearing and everything. And, well, you know, I didn't like that I was considered the military advisor, and then none of what I was asked about really mattered, because they did what they were going to do anyway. And that was mainly just them having to use volunteers. Like, if we're using an 18-year-old high schooler on his free weekend doing some free acting, they're not going to get him to, like, you know, cut his hair or what have you. They're not going to show up a few hours early with me so they can learn, like, drill or formation marching or the handling of their rubber rifles. But this is a big Hollywood production, so that's not their concern with getting something like this wrong. And that's a minor detail. I can't say that that's why I hate the movie as much as I do. It's just a feeling. Like, whenever the topic is brought up, that's the first movie that jumps into my mind. And, you know, I've watched pretty much every Sci-Fi Channel original movie. They make no bones about being bad movies. They sort of celebrate the fact that they're not very good movies. Same with, like, Troma. There's an earnestness in the badness, I guess, is how I would put it with things like that, where, like, you know, the first Sharknado movie, right? They're trying to make a specific kind of ridiculous action movie, and every following Sharknado movie was really like a parody of itself. They were in on the joke and making it ridiculous, but there was a sense of sincerity to it, to me anyway, when I watch those. Is like, they're making these movies because they're having fun doing it. And meanwhile, on something like Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, it felt more like they're making the movie because Matthew McConaughey needed the money for the movie. I don't know. this is confusing to a lot of people that I've talked to about it, because like there are a ton of movies that I do just genuinely dislike, but at the same time, like, I can dislike those movies and not really fault the production of the movie. Like Grown Ups is a good example, and there's a Grown Ups 2, and those movies feel really lazy to me, right? Because it's Adam Sandler got his friends together, and it's similar in Hotel Transylvania. It's not as bad though. I think Hotel Transylvania was a little more well written, but it was a similar kind of thing where he gathered his friends together and they just, spent a few months fucking around to make this movie so they all can collect paychecks while they're hanging out. And you can see the laziness that I'm talking about repeatedly in the movie when it comes time to roast somebody. Like, they'll make a joke about one of the characters and then everyone's quiet while everyone else gets a turn to make a similar joke, right? So like they make fun of Kevin James being overweight. One person says he's fat, and then they go down the line of everybody else making a fat joke at his expense. They make a joke about David Spade being pathetic, and then everybody goes down the line making that same joke. That's lazy. I don't like it. It's not my kind of comedy, but at the same time, it's really obvious, like, these are some friends who have just found an excuse to hang out with each other. I can't really be mad at that. So maybe the lack of that chemistry, or maybe just me not knowing about that chemistry. I don't know if anyone who worked on Ghosts of Girlfriends Past were friends or whatever. If they were, it didn't seem to come through to me in the movie at all. It's really annoying to me. Like, anytime it's on, I don't care for it. I'm not normally one to poo-poo anyone's party, let people like what they like, but I just really can't stand that movie. Anyway, if you can maybe think of a reason why it's a bad movie, if you have any kind of explanation, I'd love to hear it. Send me a comment or what have you, because honestly, like I said, I'm stumped. It's just a feeling I get. I just dislike it. I don't know why, but as I said, anytime the subject of worst movie of all time comes up, that's gonna be on my list every single time. It's just what pops into my head first. So go ahead and comment if you've got an opinion on it. Like, share, subscribe. If you are interested in updates on any of my new content, especially writing and drawing, there is a Patreon for that. There's also a Facebook page. You find them under the name Touchbone on both platforms. And tell your friends to check it out. My last video is actually doing way better numbers than usual. It's mostly people who are mad that I don't believe in the Mandela effect. I have received some private messages that I'll keep that way, and a couple of comments. That's unusual, because usually the only people that comment are like the same two people who are just encouraging me. It's interesting to see me getting some engagement, though. That's pretty cool. Anyway, do the usual YouTube stuff, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you later.